Morning guys, so welcome back to NZ Moper Out Kustoms. So, yes William, I have got a new top on today. It's alright. The blue one you see me wear, it's actually got a twin and a brother. The brother one's actually grey, more grey. I don't wear that one very often because it's got such big holes in it. But there is two blue ones that I do actually chop and change. So yeah, I might retire them. Or I might use one to patch two. Just so it'll last a bit longer. Because, as you know, grinding and welding and everything frickin' screws tops up so fast. And actually, a welding jacket would be nice, but we'll get there one day. So anyway, I'm going to finish this stuff off, get this welded up, cleaned up, and etched. And then I need to work out what I'm going to do to put these freaking things back together, pin wise, rivet wise, whatever, bolt wise, because as much as I'd like to rivet the bastards together, it's going to be a pain. It is really going to be a pain in the fucking ass, because they're all different fucking lengths. Because they're all through different places, so they're all going to be different lengths. And I may have to make up some little spaces to go in between the odd one. Just not very big, maybe just even just see if I can get some smallish washers with a reasonable hole in the middle of it. Something so I can space in between to maybe the odd one. Yeah, and I'll either bolt it together or whatever. What would be ideal to mimic rivets would be like the, sometimes you can get the cap screws that, you know, they got like the same on each end, but one winds in the middle of the other, like it's got a shank on it, then it's got a slot, then it's got a small thread and it screws inside each other. Something like that would be really handy, that you could break the head away so it looked like a rivet at the end of it and just Loctite them all together. Something like that would be quite handy. But yeah, I don't know. I just pain because I don't want to start normal body work on these, make these look good, and then I've got to heat up rivets and hammer them over. Almost need to be all put together. And then try and do the body work, which is not going to be fucking easy. Or they would just get fucking normal bolts and nylox and put them together. I don't know, it's a pain. Because it would be nice to be able to paint them all separately and then fit it together. You can obviously put all the bows back in it afterwards. Because if I put them all together, I really need to put the bows in it so it stays apart, if you know what I mean. Otherwise it'd be frickin' clinging and clanging all together. Like you'd never fucking paint them. It'd be an absolute pain in the ass. So, yeah, I'm just not quite sure what I can do there. As much as riveting it together would be nice, I think really the simplest way would be just going to be to bolt them together. Or I was thinking about, you know, back when we were building them to rivet them together, but now when you get to the point where you want to finish them, it's just you think about it and you think, it's going to be an absolute prick to do. So, yeah, without damaging everything and trying to get it together, and then if you, so, I don't know, you'd almost have to bloody near do it on the car too, put it up, which wouldn't be fucking easy. So, yeah, they might just get bolted together, I think. Yeah. Cap screws or something, I don't know. We'll see. It would be nice to have it look like they were meant to be riveted, but I just don't know if it's going to work. Yeah, that's why I like the breakaway bolts would be quite handy. You know, if you could buy in or and out a breakaway bolt and Loctite them together, and as you do them up and then break them off, you know, once you knew that they were, do them all up gently, make sure everything's right, and then just go around and break all the heads off. And then they'll do permanently together, if you know what I mean. You could just probably just part the end up and put a little bit of paint on them, make them look like a rivet. But yeah, I can't see that happening, but we'll see. Right, I'll carry on and get this stuff cleaned up, get it etched, and then we'll work on some other stuff, work on maybe getting the body work done on them. Righty, so I've got all that stuff down there, the stuff that I painted yesterday, or etched yesterday, all that stuff up there etched, and the tile ends, I put a bit of tape around the tapers and put them together just roughly, so I didn't get paint in the ball part of it. But I have to shoot home for a couple of minutes and sort some shit out. But don't you hate it? Like, we've got hot water is heated through a what do you want to call it, califont or whatever it is. And we've got the big bottles that stand about, whatever they about that tall, two of them on the house at all times. It's just the way the system works. So basically, you leave one bottle off, leave one bottle on, and it's got a switch that you can flick between the two bottles. And the last, I don't know what I've been in this house, about 12 months, I guess, thereabouts. It's the first time we've ever had them. And so I got 2 bottles there quite a while ago. And I keep saying to the missus and her boy, which is my stepson, who's like 23 or 4, whatever he is. And I say, when the fucking bottles run out, tell me, when our bottle runs out, okay, you turn one off, turn one on, flip the switch over, but tell me that they run out. Because I don't know what's going around the back and check them. We've got a small, one of those 9 kilo bottles, one of the bottles are about that big at home, that's part full. But it isn't going to leave a lot of gas left in it either. And I'll just tell me when the bottle runs out, and I'll order one, I'll get them to drop one off so they can take the empty one away. And then you've always got a full one there. No, you think I can get them to fucking do it? Let me know when they turn one off and turn one on. So yeah, Mrs. just rang up and said, oh, the hot water's run out, we've got no gas. Can you come home and order some gas bottles? It's like every fucking time. And it's like, it's $250 for the 2 bottles. Whereas if I just ordered one at a time, it's only $125. Like, it doesn't cost any more, but it's just the inconvenience of having to order 2 bottles, and if there's not much left in the 9 kilo bottle, we run out in that too, well then we've got no fucking hot water. It's the only thing it's used for, and it's quite good, but it's a pain in the fucking ass, because they don't tell you when they've switched the bottle over. I don't go out there and check very often, you know. So I just, because Mrs. the fucking mows the lawns and all that sort of bullshit. Like, I'm hardly, you know, I go out the back of the house, but I don't stand there and go, oh shit, what if the bottles are empty, you know. Every now and again I might walk past them and, you know, give them a bit of a knock and see if that's whatever. But like, they don't tell me. It's like just frustrating. Anyway, so I'll shoot home and sort that out. Righty, so I've been working on these, mainly filling gaps with my wood, the sawdust and glue mix. The main back one, I did do a bit of shaping on that, but then I decided I better fill a few voids, so I've done a little bit of rounding off on that. Go on, point the camera in the right direction. So I started rolling the top part of it, where it'd be sitting at the back of the top, and obviously I'll do the same with the others. I'll just radius the corners of these ones a little bit and clean them all up. But I just went around and put stuff in all the little gaps, and just where it happened to be a little bit open on the edges, and or there had to be like little gaps in between bits of timber or whatever. Any funny little voids, I just try to fill them up, so if there is moisture in there, it doesn't tend to get into where it doesn't sit in some of those spots, I guess. It's kind of what I'm trying to achieve. So yeah, when they dry off, I will tack them more. And I've got all these metal bits over here, with a little bit of body filler here and there on them. How that's going to work, I don't know. It was a bit of a nightmare to do. I've mainly put it in where it's joint and where the seam is. And I've tried to. That year didn't weigh it on very well, so I've gone around that and I'll just try and clean it up so it looks half reasonable. These here are a bit of a mess, but hopefully it'll clean up right. I mixed up sort of too much, and then it took me a wee while to frickin' get the knacker trying to put it on there without putting it on there stupid thick. But now that it's almost dried off, I'll just get the DA and I'll just run around it and knock it all off. Just leave what needs to be there, and then just build it up with some high build. So I'll probably knock that all off shortly while that other stuff's drying. So yeah, it's kind of where I'm at, I guess. And some of these bits I just put little bits in where there's some funny marks. That's all I really did on these. Just filled the rest of the blemishes, just so I'm not freaking chasing too many stupid holes trying to weld them up or whatever. Because this is going to be painted as us, and I was like, it's going to be nickeled. Would have done that with those things too if I frickin' could have, but you can't really do that with when you're going to nickel something. I don't know where you would get away with solder and lead and then nickel over top of it, but I not really one of my thick tricks up in my book yet, but we're getting there. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So I think I'm about to tack this stuff with the DA and see how that gets on, and then I'll bring it back a bit later on once I've sort of got some of the stuff cleaned up, see what it knocks off like, I guess. Right, I thought I'd give you a quick run by. So you seen me knock all this body filler off. So that's kind of what I was trying to achieve. Just blend out where this has been welded into this. Just make it a little bit more a smoother transition instead of just the weld around there. Because in the original, from the photos I can see, this was all made in one piece. I'm guessing, I don't 100% know on that. So I'll just try to make it blend a little bit in, so it's not quite so, I don't know, raw, I suppose, you know, like it looks like it could have been one piece. Trying to mimic that, if you know what I mean, to kind of make it look like it could have been that way. You know, same with these pieces, even though it's like blended in a little bit, you know, it sort of hides where it's been kind of welded, I guess, within reason, if you know what I mean. I'm not sure how they made the originals. Same one here, just try to make it blend in a little bit, and just fill in the worst of where I joint it, you know, just to help blend it in so it's not quite so rough, I guess. A little bit of filler in it. You know, time will tell when I put a bit of, put a few coats of high build on these things. I'll have to space them out there. And these little pieces are just filling in the worst of the marks from the welds, if you know what I mean, like where you know, where I had a bit of a hole or something like that, just to fill the worst in. And these pieces here, because these are hollow tube, I actually added bits of steel on each side of these and built them up and then welded it back into here. So there was the odd, you know, mark that wasn't as nice as the rest, if you know what I mean. Where that one there's blended out pretty good on that side, but you know, I just filled in a few deeper bits just to make it look a bit better. You know, and then a few coats of high build will hide a bit more and sand it out and whatever. That's what's happening there. You just see me sanding the couple of bows too. So I've still got a wee bit to finish on this one. I was just giving the compressor a rest for a minute. So it's not running flat out all the time with the DA. Like, if I bought another compressor, I would definitely get something quite a bit bigger. That's okay. It is. It's fine for spraying, and it's fine for everything else that's an air tool except for the DA. It works, but you don't really have to stop, but it gets to a point where it's quite slowish. So if you can run it for, you know, a few minutes here and there, if you can chop, yeah, it's sort of one of those things, like when you're sort of DAing, like a knocking back body filler in bits and pieces, you know, you might knock the worst of it off sort of in a section at a time, and then you can swap over to a, maybe say if you're knocking it back with, say, like 36 grit or 40 grit or something like that, and then you had a Dura block or something like that with some 80 grit on it, you know, you can rip the worst of it off with the DA in sections, and then you can probably come along with a Dura block and just smooth it out as you're waiting for the compressor to just catch up and have a bit of a break for a bit. Like if the tank was probably twice as big and the pump was probably twice as big, then it'll be fine. Ideally, what would have been good was actually the old compressor that I had of Dad's, which the tank was at least double that size, if not bigger. I think it's 70 litre. I think his was 100 and, yeah, I think it was about 130 or 140 litres. It was quite a big old bugger, and it had a big old, was it a twin? Big twin on it. Like it was almost like sort of Harley, like early Harley, you know, 60s or 70s sort of size cylinders on it. It was quite big, you know. It would have been, I don't know how many cc's those cylinders are. I don't know, would they be 50 or 60 cc's each? I don't know. It would probably would have been a couple of hundred a side sort of type thing. It was a good old big pump. You know, they're probably more modern efficient, but it would have been perfect in here. But when I moved to Australia last time, I sold the fucking thing. So yeah, that would have been probably ideal in here. You know, and it's probably, it would be big enough, but still with that, I know even sanding, like it was good for probably 10 or 15 minutes, and then you really had to stop and just let it recover. You know, it would take about 10 or 15 minutes to really drop back till the DA wasn't running fast enough. So, but sort of one of those things, you know, you could sort of DA a reasonable chunk of it, and then like I just work around it, you know, I work DA for a while, knock the heavy stuff off, maybe come in with a block for a while, some 80 grit or even something heavier on it, and, you know, flatten it out with a long block, then come back with that if you need to rip it back some more, you know, just, we'll do another panel, you know, swap between panels or whatever, you know, just, but yeah, it's not really big enough. It's okay. It's okay. Like that little one that Dad's got, which is, I think it's, is it 50 litre? 50 or 60 litre with the twin on it. It's really borderline. It's okay for doing a bit of short DAing, and it's fine for spraying too, but yeah, like that's way quite a bit better. But yeah, they're just not really big enough. Anyway, we will carry on. Right, I actually just flicked a bit of edge pick over the bare spots on the steel where I sanded a lot of it off, if you know what I mean. And just covered over the little bit of body filler. Actually look quite, I think they'll come up alright. Especially, you know, when I get a decent bit of high build on them. Actually smartens them up quite a bit. I'm actually quite happy with just the quick rough result, if you know what I mean. I think they'll look quite good with a few decent coats of high build on them. I think I will pour it on thickish, so I've got a bit there to sand back. And I thought while I'm at it, I may as well spray the steering rod that goes between the wheels. I could do these too, but I've got to spray the diff cover and dip head, which I'm going to try and do all that at the same time as I've got those few little pieces I've got to touch up on the chassis. So I will do the dip head, diff cover, and these at the same time with the satin. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do there, because I'll just mask up the tapers and just hang a bit of cardboard or plastic or something over the rest of it and just puff it in there, like obviously clean it down and puff it in around these, because they're on there now. Yeah, of course, I probably should have painted them before I put them in, but it's kind of just how it worked at the time. So yeah, but it's not hard to flick a wee bit of etcher in them at some point and then spray them black. You know, I'm not worried about putting primer or anything on them. Maybe, we'll see, but yeah, but I'll do that when I touch everything up. So, there. But yeah, these are all ready to go. So I'll let these dry for an hour or so. So I might just set to and just give my 1.8mm gun a quick run through and just make sure it's going to spray all right. And then I'll give these a very light scuff with a bit of 220 or something like that. Just give them a bit of a light rough up, and then we'll spray these all with some primer. Might see if I can find something to lay over some of that painted stuff, because yeah, I'm kind of overspray. Like the body's covered up enough, it should be alright. But I'd like to, especially the stuff that I've polished, lots of those pieces that I have cleaned up, that obviously need a wipe down again. But like all this other stuff, I haven't really gone through. Like I've started sending that one back to polish it up, but yeah. So at least those bits in that rear piece, I'd like to at least get that half covered up, so it's not going to get overspray all over it. I think I've got some sheets somewhere. Actually, I think Mum and Dad had some sheets that were going to save me some stuff like that I could use for rags or whatever. So I might clean the gun out and then I'll go grab them and try and cover that stuff up. So the only other piece I've got is that piece down there over that transmission. So yeah, I haven't really got any spare rags at the moment. I do have some plastic, but yeah, I'd rather put a half decent clean sheet over it. So yeah, we'll have a quick look at the spray gun, and then I can cover that shit up, all the pieces that haven't been polished up anyway. The other stuff isn't going to matter quite so much, because it's still to be cleaned down and washed down and resanded, so it's not super critical. But yeah, it'd be nice to at least cover those three bits up. Righty, so I've got everything ready to primer, at least anyway. This here I'll probably just give one coat and then take it off out of the road. But yeah, the rest I'll give a few coats. Like that's underneath the car. You don't really see it, and it's just, do I really need to do it? No, probably not really. I only really need to just paint that black at some point. It's not, not critical. Like it's got etch on it. It'll stick. I can even probably paint it with red or can if I have to. But when I paint the stuff black, I'll hang it back up there. So yeah, that'll give you a bit more space. We can spray some stuff out a little bit. But yeah, I've got these ready, hung these all back up. Give them a go, a quick, well, I wouldn't say quick, but I've given this a fairly good clean out. That looks pretty gross in there, but that's mainly because this is one of the brushes I had in my parts wash, because I've got a little one in there too, but I just wanted to give that a decent scrub out in there. So I have to give it a good rinse out, because it's got a little bit of simple green in there off the brush. So yeah, I'll give this a fairly good blow through or some fairly good rinse out with some GP thinners, and I've just dropped the air pressure down on the compressor and just drained everything again. I did a little bit of a drain this morning, but yeah, I just thought since I am going to spray some primer, not just the next couple of minutes, but I thought I'd just at least drain it and get that set up. So I'm just going to flick a bit of GP through my gun, and then I'm going to go away and get those towels and sheets and whatever else, and so I can cover some of that crap up. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And I think I'll just spray up the doors open so at least the primer can blow out the door if it needs to. It's not going to be really hanging in here. Might even open the other door too. It's not windy or anything, and it's a reasonable day. So I wouldn't say it's hot, but it's not freaking dead cold either. So really got the freaking birds flying around here, all the little bastards. But anyway, I'll catch you shortly. Morning. What an epic morning. Beautiful blue sky. Sun's just breaking over the hills over there. Crazy. Anyway. Righty. So anyway. It's now Monday. And I still haven't got the shit frickin' primed. Went home Friday at lunchtime. And ended up going to get plane tickets for Rachel and Jake to go to Tasmania, and well, it doesn't matter anyway, but not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday we'll drive to Christchurch, which is an 8-hour drive. I could have flown them out of the airport locally to Christchurch and then to Australia and then to Tasmania, but it was an extra $800 basically for the two of them to fly from there to Christchurch or whatever, just because of the time frames and to get the seats to match up, because they fly out about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which is pretty reasonable. So that means we can cruise up there on the Tuesday, and they fly up Wednesday afternoon, I guess, early afternoon, midday. So it means we can cruise up there the day before and don't have to terribly rush around. We can spend a little bit of time together before they go to the airport. They have to be at the airport about 3 hours, 4 hours beforehand, roughly-ish, just because of all the crap. So yeah, I spent Friday afternoon and Saturday organising a lot of shit for them and I never got back here. So yeah, it's been a bit of a funny couple of 3 days. So I try to get the prime on these stupid bloody things today, but when I go up to Christchurch, I might try and come back down through some of the centre of the island, maybe, I'll see. And I'll try and do a bit of videoing on the way back down for the trip, because there is some awesome freaking views if the weather's good. So yeah. So that's been well, sort of Friday afternoon in town, and then Rachel wanted to go back into town Saturday morning to try and organise some shit, and I was like, well, why didn't we do it on Friday? Oh, I was too worried about the tickets and everything else. I was like, oh, fuck it up. So yeah, it sort of wasted Saturday morning. Yeah, and I was like, oh, fucking, I can't be bothered coming here now, so yeah, and then I thought, oh, I'll go Sunday, but then end up freaking, I wouldn't say crook, but just had really bad indigestion. Every time I lay down, it was like rolling out my throat just about, if you know what I mean. So I sat up on the couch and went to sleep, and then I think I woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning, just surfed through my phone for ages, and then I went and had a little lie down, and then, yeah, Rachel's mates our friends were going to turn up. Basically, Rachel's mate, she goes walking with her quite a bit, and yeah, and then she ended up not feeling very well, so they didn't turn up. So anyway, so here we are, Monday. So yeah, this time, basically next week, we'll be getting ready to head up there. So it'll be probably, yeah, I'll try and get back here Thursday, but yeah, basically I'm going to get here Monday, and then yeah, we'll drive to Christchurch on the Tuesday, and yeah, and then I'll have to drive all the way home Friday or Wednesday afternoon, and probably part of Thursday, maybe. We'll see how we get on. I'll just take home quietly, because I'll be by myself, because the missus boy will have to get going to work, so it's not as though he's going to be with me to keep me company, so I'll just be cruising up and down there by myself, so I might just have to pull over and have a zizz on the side of the road and then carry on again. But anyway, so yeah, better get some fucking work done. Oh, freaking great frickin' kerfuffle, but anyway. Yeah, so we'll get on with it. Right, I've got pretty much everything covered up down there, except for these couple of things down the end here, but I would like to actually repaint that windscreen surround. So I'm not too panicked about it. That there, well, it'll clean up. Like if it's a little bit on there, it's not going to matter too much, but everything else is pretty much covered up now. Wish I had them a while ago, but it's alright. Most things are covered up, so that's all that matters. So, got a little bit of sun on these things, so hopefully they warm up, because it is cool. So I might just have to wait another hour or so before I do start pouring some primer on those, but at least that stuff's covered up. So I do have another cloth I could probably throw on some of these bits, just so there's not too much overspray on the smaller stuff here. I could have it clean up here and just shuffle the stuff around a little bit so it's not getting covered in overspray too, I guess. But yeah, so I've got that spray gun ready, and I've had that one soaking. I actually stripped this one down on Friday and gave it a good soak too, and just to try to get all the crap out of it to make it spray properly for the black, which, you know, hopefully might be in the next day or two, depending on how far we get on. So I just got the tip still on there, just getting rid of some last little bits and pieces. I actually dunked the whole end of the gun in there, so the thinners reducer, whatever it was actually in that main body of the gun, in one of these little yogurt bottles, however you want to pronounce that. So yeah, so I'm getting that stuff at least sorted, so I'll get a freaking half decent freaking job out of it. I will hopefully when I get that freaking Dodge in here and I got a little bit of spare cash, I'm going to order a 2.5mm kit for this, so I have a new air cap tip and needle, and I will keep that as a backup, but I'm going to order probably an FLG5 or something like that, DeVil's, or a depending on, I need to work out what I can spend and what I can't spend out of that money. Obviously I've got to buy materials to do that Dodge, so yeah, we got all the paint and crap and everything for that and whatever. But yeah, so like I will have a little bit of money that will be a profit margin of it that I can spend on some tools. That won't come out of my living wage, basically, if you know what I mean. So yeah, and now that Rachel and Jake are away, I might keep my living wage about the same as what it is, because, or maybe I'll increase it just a touch from what it is now, out of that money. I was going to make it quite a bit more, but I probably don't quite need to, so I might actually use a little bit of that extra money that I'm not going to be paying myself to just buy some extra bits and pieces. I might do a couple of small PC upgrades too at home for just editing to make my life easier, and I'm going to try and see if I can get myself an action camera of some description. What I'm going to get, I don't know now, because I don't like the DJI Action 2s. I don't like them. Just the form factor and whatever. if you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, I've never been a huge fan of the GoPros. Like, I think they probably work quite well, but just DJI had the DJI Osmo Action, which came out in, I don't know, would it be 2018? And they just updated it there, I don't know, before Christmas sort of sometime. And it's always been a really, really good action camera, and they've done quite a few updates on it, and it was always a really nice camera, which is near as good as the GoPros, or as good, if not better. And it was only about 2/3 of the cost of the GoPro here. A GoPro's like $800, $900 here, whereas the DJI Action was only about $400. So it was about half, roughly, give or take, depending on the time and the specials and whatever else was on. And the batteries were reasonably cheap, but the new one, it's like you buy the screen part of it, which has got its own battery and memory source. You can't put an SD card in it, and it's got like a separate battery pack with a screen on it, which you can put the SD card in, but you can't. There's still no just swappable battery, even in the main part, and it's very awkward to put. Well, I wouldn't say lens protection on it, but a lot of those other ones, they've got the lenses will screw off or clip off, whereas it's got a hard lens on it that you can't be replaced if something happens to it. And with what I'm doing, grinding and welding and whatever, the older ones will really be good, because if you do happen to get a bit of weld splatter or scratch or something on it, you can just you can take that cap off, throw it away, and put another one on. And you don't have to send the fucking thing back or anything stupid. So that's why I don't like the new one, and it's quite a bit dearer than the old one used to be. Like, even for what you can still buy the Osmo Action, but it's getting harder and harder and harder to get. And I just don't think I can even buy one in the country now, and they're becoming very, very expensive if you can find them, because people don't. Well, I don't think a lot of people look. They're probably the new one's quite good, but it's not suitable for what I want. It's a bit of a pain. I wish they'd never made that form factor, or gave us an option, maybe that form factor and another one. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, that's what I'd like. I'd like to be able to get some of that stuff so I can get some better footage. Because my phone, the lenses on that are getting really scratched and damaged. So it's, my phone's 2 years old, and it's been doing this for 2 years. So it's had a hiding. The quality's not as good. It's getting grainy because the phone can't focus through shit properly. So it annoys me. So yeah, I want to try and do some upgrades while I've got so much money going out in the money, really looking after myself so much now. Because Rachel will be self-sufficient in Australia, basically. I might have to help her out a little bit occasionally, which is fine. I don't mind that, but she'll be actually self-sufficient in Australia. But yeah. But anyway, I will carry on and get this last little bit sorted. The temp is starting to come up. There's a wee bit of warmth in this now. There's actually a bit of warmth in that sun, even though it was cool. Like another half an hour, Like, these aren't cold to touch now. You can feel the warmth in them. The steel's warming up, which is good. That's what I want. So I might sit the paint in the sun and see if I can get a little bit of warmth in that at least. Or I might flick the heater on just for a few minutes and try and warm the paint up. In front of it, even with the doors open, it won't matter much. I just want to warm the paint so it thins out a bit. Yeah, we'll get ourselves sorted. Right, I got one lightish coat over, so I'm just letting it. The sun keeps disappearing on me, so I hope I can keep the sun here. I push this door up a bit more. Try and keep the heat on there, as much warmth as possible anyway. It's the biggest problem that we're going into the colder parts of the year, but May can be still quite warm. It's meant to be 17 degrees C here today, which is not bad. It's not terrible, if you know what I mean. I might have the paint a bit thin and we might end up in the odd run in it, but I'm not worried about that all sand off. But yeah, I could close the doors and turn the diesel heat on, but I fired that up before to heat the paint. And it ran for about 5 minutes and ran out of diesel. So I'll have to get some more diesel. But yeah, so I'm just about dry enough now. I think I can, yeah, that's fine. So yeah, I can bang another coat on that. And yeah, I'll just keep pouring coats on until I get a reasonable amount on there. I want to try and put probably 4 on there to give it a good bit of meat on there, and hopefully fill up the worst of any other imperfections, I guess. You know, and if I've got more paint left over, I'll just keep pouring it on until I run out, within reason, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm not going to sit there and pour 10 coats on it, but if I've still got a bit left and I've done 4, I'll just put a bit more on it. If I end up with 5 coats on most of it and a couple have got 6, well, that'll do. Just whatever, it doesn't really matter. I'll just leave it a few minutes in between, but this has probably had 10 or 15 because it's cold. So, well, cool, like it is quite cool, but with that little bit of sun, hopefully if it decides it wants to come back out again because it's clouded over, it was quite nice before, but if I can keep a little bit of sun on them, and just give them a few minutes and make sure that they are, I can sort of touch, but it's not sticky, like it's borderline dry enough, you know what I mean? Like it's sticky, but it's not like am I leaving marks? Yeah, I'm kind of leaving marks, but I'm not, if you know what I mean? So it's been a few minutes, so I'll leave it a decent time to flash off, so it gives it half a chance to, so the next coat doesn't make it run. So I'll get another coat on. I just wanted to make sure everything sprayed properly and everything worked properly before I did some footage, so I'll carry on and we'll get another coat on there at least anyway. Right, cut's just about empty on the second coat, so I better mix another lot up, and that will probably work out, just slightly over 4 coats, so that'll work pretty good. So I'll mix that up, and yeah, we'll spray a bit more in a few minutes. Hopefully the sun keeps trying to come out. Well, that's the 3rd coat on, so yeah, we'll just have to wait a few more minutes and we'll put the last one on. Righty. So I end up with about 5 coats in these things. Couple, got to have a little bit extra than that, but yeah. So, we'll let them dry now for a day or 2 and I'll give them the sand back and fill any other little imperfections that I'm not happy with. I can see the odd one, but we'll smear a little bit of glazing putty or something in there before I sand, sort of type thing. I'll give it a wee scuff in that area and then put something over, and then we'll try and sand it out and make it, blend it, make it look nice, and then we'll just hopefully just be able to paint pretty much over top, hopefully. But yeah, I think they will come up pretty good by the time they're all together and all bolted together and whatever. I think they'll look pretty good. But yeah, we'll just try and fix any other little minor bits and pieces I'm not happy with, see how they come up when we sand them, and may have to hit them again, but it's that done. So that took actually a while because I left them a reasonable length of time between coats, probably a good 20-25 minutes, just because it's cool, just to give it a chance to flash and try and, so it's not, I guess so, it's giving it a chance for each layer to sort of let the vapours come out of it, if you know what I mean. So it's not sitting there and getting, it's pretty good, it seems to be pretty good. I haven't had any issues with solvent pop and all that sort of crazy crap, but it is cooling off. And yeah, I just gave it a wee bit extra time between coats. It seems to revert fine, so only time will tell, I guess. If we have any issues, we'll find out, I guess, later on. But yeah, seems to work good. So yeah, we'll give them a tart up in a couple of days, and may have to put another quick coat over top and then spray them black. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at there. I will probably have a carry on with something else now, and yeah, we'll come back to when we've figured out what we're doing next. Righty, so at the moment, now that these have dried off a little bit, I'm just giving them a quick wee scuff, and sorry, I'm just giving them a wee scuff around with the areas where I just want to put a little bit more filler type product on them. Like some of these little pinholes and bits and pieces which I missed. The worst ones, if you know what I mean. Like here, and there's a couple of little ugly spots that may sand off. Later on when we do give these a rub back. And then we'll probably have to reprime these, I guess, give them another couple of light coats and then paint it over top. But yeah, we'll just get them dialed in a little bit better. Now that we've got some product on, we can kind of get them reasonable. Not really, there's no real runs on these, the old little drip build-up sort of thing on the old spot. But yeah, we'll give them a sand back, try and blend it out, make it look half decent, fill some of the other little funny marks that are still there, and you just blend them in and then a couple of coats and paint them black. Righty, so I've finished filling in any of the little imperfections that I wasn't happy with on the middle bits for the convertible top. And what I'm doing at the moment, I'm actually just using straight wood glue. I've just thinned it down a little bit because I'm painting it on, because I went round the other day, I mixed up that sawdust and wood glue paste, and I filled a lot of the voids, but there's still, I guess, still the odd slightly open bit or whatever. So basically what I'm doing is painting these edges. I'm not worried about the top and bottom surface so much. I'm painting these side surfaces with the wood glue to help just seal up where it's laid up, I guess. So it helps soak into any of those joints, crevices that sort of still left open, and glue any parts that aren't together on the edges together, if you know what I mean. So moisture and whatever can't get in there, I guess. That's what I'm trying to do, trying to seal them up somehow.
Righty, so yeah, basically just any little open points and whatever, like that bloody thing. Basically just trying to fill up any of those, seal them up where it's slightly open, and you know, just basically carrying on from where we were the other day and fill the bigger voids up. Just basically trying to seal the edges, I guess, so it's more sealed up. So yeah, I might have to do this a couple of times, I don't know, we'll see. But it can only help stop moisture getting in there, I guess. And hopefully the glue will seep down to where it is slightly open and help glue it together. So I think that'll do for today. And we'll see you tomorrow.